Somebody chose not to wear pants to a party. Does that make them a jerk? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for wanting to keep my engagement ring for my late fiance? I'm using a throwaway as I don't want the drama of this on my main Reddit. I hope you all understand. I, 36-year-old female, lost my fiance nearly 11 years ago in a car crash. We were both in the car, but I got out with only minor injuries while he passed instantly. This messed me up quite a bit, and I was in and out of therapy and support groups for years over this. The support group is where I met my current partner, 45-year-old male. He's a widower who lost his wife to cancer, and we understood each other's pain a lot and bonded over it. 3 years ago, we started dating and we moved in with each other last month. I've remained close with the family of my late fiancé since I lost him, and they were a great support to me in the first few years. However, his mother, 61-year-old female, asked me last week for the ring he gave me back since I'm now seriously involved with another man. She said she wanted a ring to keep in the family and it would mean a lot to have it. This upset me. The ring he gave me wasn't a family ring, and it's a garnet and emerald ring he picked out because those are our birthstones and I didn't want a traditional diamond. We picked the ring out together and he saved for months to get me it. It holds a lot of beautiful memories for me, even if it's bittersweet. I'm now at a point where I can enjoy the good memories without too much pain. Me being in a relationship now doesn't mean I have this ring gathering dust in a drawer somewhere. I wear it on my right hand now, the same way my partner wears his wedding ring. We both feel it's okay to honor our lost loved ones this way, and neither of us have any jealousy or negative feelings over this. Heck, we have a picture of my fiancé and his wife on the wall of our living room. I told her I could understand if it had been a family ring he'd inherited, though that still would have made me feel a little weird to have her asking for it back, but it isn't a family ring. It's my ring that we picked out together, and I plan to wear it for the rest of my life. She insisted it should be back in the family, however, and that she wanted it as it was the last major purchase he made before he passed. I ended up hanging up on her as I was so upset, and I've been avoiding her calls since. My partner was angry on my behalf that she even asked this and told me she was being ridiculous and that I should wear the ring as long as I want to. I can't help but feel like I'm being punished for finding someone to make me happy, that I was supposed to mourn him forever in her eyes. I've spoken to my parents about this too to get their insight on it, and my mom feels that maybe I should give the ring back, as his mother is clearly just hurting and wants to hold on to something of her son. My dad, meanwhile, says he can see both sides of this, and it's my choice. I don't know. I might be a bit too emotional over this. Am I being the jerk or unreasonable here? Edit, a couple of people seem confused. My current partner is not my new fiancé or my husband. I call him my partner because he feels at his age being called a boyfriend is a bit too humorous as if he's young. If we're being technical, however, he is a boyfriend. We've only just moved in together. I'm sorry if my wording caused any confusion. That ring is by and large OP's property, right? Not only did OP help pick it out, but it was a gift to OP. If the mom is hurting and they're trying to use the ring as a way to try to make them feel better, I'm sorry to hear that, but is this not OP's property? Like, please let me know in the comments, is this not a ridiculous ask of OP from that mother-in-law? The Chaotic Storm commented, "You are not the jerk. I could understand if it was a family heirloom, but it isn't. It's something your late fiancé purchased for you. I honestly feel it would insult his memory to give your ring to his mother. You have an amazing partner." Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? Our next story is, am I the jerk for betraying my friends by having a secret boyfriend? Throwaway, because I'm pretty active in some communities that I want to keep separate from this post, art and hobby related. I, 24-year-old female, have a pretty horrible dating history. I've never had a relationship end in a way that it wasn't a world-shattering disaster. Multiple cheating cases, ghosting, abuse, etc. Last year, I had the worst breakup of my entire life that shook me up for a full year and some change. I don't have a big circle, but I have a small group of friends that are all aware of my bad history with relationships. This year, I decided to dip my toe back into dating after the breakup and was casually seeing a few people over about 4 to 6 weeks. Other important context is I have bipolar, and if you didn't know, a big part of that is getting very excited over new things and having your interest die over time. The same goes with relationships. You tend to get really hyped and optimistic after a good first date, only for things to fizzle and have to tell everyone it didn't work out, which can be really embarrassing. This time, when I decided to date around, I deliberately didn't tell anyone I was doing it. I'm just a little sick of messaging all my friends about this nice new person I'm seeing, and they're probably sick of me telling them about all the new things I'm interested in, knowing it'll fizzle away. I am working on it, I'm just aware that I'm hard to deal with. While dating around on a few apps, I met my current boyfriend, and I realized quickly I wanted to see him more than just a casual situation. We saw each other a few times before deciding to be exclusive. I didn't tell any of my friends just in case it didn't work out, but now it's been 4 months and still going steady, so I decided to tell people. I sent a few pictures to my group chats saying hard launch, expecting people to laugh with me, especially since I'm hilariously bad at keeping secrets. Basically, everybody blew up at me, telling me that I'd lied to them for 4 months and that I was being weird and betraying their friendship and trust by not telling them I had a boyfriend. I hate lying outright, so the whole time I was lying by omission, just not telling them that I was going on dates and then seeing someone exclusively. I'm mortified and don't want to lose all my friends over something I thought would just be a fun surprise or funny reveal. If I genuinely messed up and this wasn't an okay thing for me to do, I want to know. I'm neurodivergent, so it's hard for me to know with things like this. I'm not trying to rally people into my corner. If this is something that would generally hurt people, I want to know so I can do better next time. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think maybe it depends on the individual friend or relative. And my rationale is, it seems like OP kind of has a good sense of how their friends would react to more dating news and it never being serious, etc. Maybe you could say OP was withholding if any of those friends are the kinds of friends that you can tell anything to and know that they'll be unbothered or unchanged or still have your back. And in the end, who did OP actually hurt here? Legitimate Ad794 commented, their reactions are probably a huge part of why you didn't tell them. Not knowing about a friend's boyfriend isn't a super uncommon thing, and if they reacted like this, you may want to consider new friends. Our next story is, am I the jerk for saying 4th time's the charm when my uncle talked about getting married again? On Sunday, we were meeting at my uncle's for a kind of pre-Christmas meetup because one of my aunts had to leave today. I was with my dad and uncles in the yard. My dad asked my uncle how his plans for getting married were going. So I should give some context here. My uncle's first marriage ended almost 2 decades ago. I have 3 cousins from that marriage, whom I used to be close to, but their mom got custody and we rarely see them. Then, around 8 years ago, he got married to a woman overseas, brought her here. She already had a guy here. She called the cops on him for some made-up thing, and when he came back from a night in jail, she had left. This is what I've heard. I was in college, and the marriage didn't even last 1 term for me to have to come back home and meet her. It lasted a week, I think. Then, 3 years ago, he got married overseas again, and this time her parents changed her mind, so they got divorced while there. Naturally, I never met her either. So when my dad said that, I looked at my uncle and asked him if he was really looking to get married again. He said yeah, that he thinks he needs a partner in life. I just, without thinking, said, 4th time's the charm. My uncle didn't take it well, while my other uncle found it hilarious. I'm pretty sure my dad did too, but he was being diplomatic about it. Today, my mom told me that my uncle had told my dad it was really rude and disrespectful of me to say what I said. She said to just apologize to him when we see him on Christmas. I said, sure, whatever, I'll apologize. This uncle has always been a fun uncle who would hang out with us cousins, so I thought he could take a joke, but I'll apologize, sure. But was I the jerk? I think if they're upset about it, OP probably was the jerk. Honestly, I do believe OP didn't really mean anything by it, but understandably, it could hurt some people to hear that kind of thing. Even if OP doesn't truly believe it, it would be nice to give some apology. Louis V25 commented, you are the jerk because it was unnecessary to say. Nonetheless, I laughed out loud. Apologize, cause that one hurt. Funny, but it hurt someone you love. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not lying about wetting the bed and embarrassing my parents? I made a throwaway account, so this can't be traced back to my main account. Anyway, I, 18-year-old female, had a weird week around Christmas where I was having a lot of nightmares and interrupted sleep. I think what happened was that when I did fall asleep, I was sleeping really deeply because I woke up having wet the bed. This was a thing I used to do when stressed when I was little, and my parents always shamed me for accidents. Even during the day, they seemed to view me needing the bathroom as a personal inconvenience. So anytime it happened, I set an alarm to wake up early so I could do the laundry and clean up before they noticed anything. I have a couple of friends I'm really close with, and we were talking about how we're all really stressed with college applications. One of my friends admitted her hair is falling out from stress, and we went around sharing more and more embarrassing things that have happened to us recently until I finally said, jokingly, "Don't tell anybody, but I think I got stressed enough that I wet the bed." It turns out that one of my friends told her mom because she was worried about me, and her mom is a doctor. Which is sweet, but her mom called mine, and now my parents are really angry at me for embarrassing them by keeping a secret from them. I told them that I was embarrassed and afraid that they would punish me, and they said, "You must not be that afraid, you're telling other people's parents." Except I trust my friends, and honestly I trust their parents too. My friend's mom didn't yell at me, and when I went to her house, she was really nice to me. My parents have now told me I'm not allowed to see that friend outside of school until I apologize to her mom for lying. They told me to say I was lying for attention, except I wasn't, and I'm refusing to start lying now. I don't mean to broadcast on the internet that I wet the bed because I kind of feel like a baby, but I did, and I think it's my choice to tell whoever I want as well as to tell the truth. Am I the jerk? OP's not the jerk, but I really wish the friend didn't go and tell their mom, and I really wish the mom didn't go and tell OP's parents. I get that realistically the chain of custody, friend's mom, they were all trying to look out for OP, but OP wasn't asking for it. Rick Russell TX commented, "Not the jerk, and all the adults here are awful." OP's friend can be forgiven for telling her mother, but how did a medical professional think it was acceptable to blab third-hand gossip about an 18-year-old female's health to her parents? Our next story is, am I the jerk for not corroborating my cousin's story of a seemingly paranormal experience we had as kids? Hi, I wanted to get others' opinions on this. When I was young, my cousins and I would often spend a couple of weeks at my grandparents'. I'm not saying I think something paranormal happened, of course, but one night, one of my cousins and I were up on the roof in the storage area playing, and we heard laughter and sheets rustling in a windowless room. We obviously ran, crying, and went to the room we were sleeping in. We hadn't told anyone because I think we weren't allowed to be on the roof that late. Since then, years, decades really, have passed. Both my grandparents have passed, us cousins have moved elsewhere. We were all there until Wednesday because my aunt had passed away last weekend and stayed over. Tuesday night, after years, we were again on the roof during sunset. My cousin just pointed to the storage area and just said, "Remember what happened?" She told my wife and her mom, and my mom and her brother about what had happened that night. I said it was the neighbors that probably made some noise if that's the case, but I don't remember. She got defensive and said, "No, it wasn't." I said, "We were kids then. I don't remember what happened, but logically if that's what happened, it was probably something else we heard." We were still on the roof when I talked to her about something else, but she was cold with me and said I made her look crazy in front of everyone. I stuck to what I said, but really if I'd agreed, I'd have been the one sounding crazy. Am I the jerk? Does anybody else completely not understand how OP would be the one sounding crazy? If anything, I feel like OP is the crazy sounding one in this post for just denying it. Yeah, you heard it, and yeah, you were kids. It could have been a million other things. Is OP afraid that they're gonna get tossed in a loony bin because they said, "Yeah, we heard weird laughter and sounds in the storage area at night one time"? Is OP hearing any other strange sounds they're not wanting to talk about? Cute Consideration 38 commented, "You are the jerk because you remember the incident. Doesn't matter if you've matured into a skeptic. You lied and said you didn't remember. So instead of looking like a nut, you look like a liar." Our next story is, am I the jerk for banning a relative from our house right after they donated our furniture while we were away from home? I'm still shaking while typing this. My wife, Paula, and I just got back from a trip. It was our first time away since our twin daughter was born. We gave my mother-in-law, Hakiko, a spare key just to check on things if necessary. Paula is sentimental. When her grandmother passed away, she left her 2 hand-carved mahogany pieces, a desk, and a vanity. They were Paula's absolute favorite things. Walked in yesterday, and the room was empty. Hakiko was there, all smiles, saying she made a surprise for us by getting rid of that oldie dusty junk to give us a modern look. She replaced them with some cheap flat-packed furniture. She literally gave away / donated Paula's inheritance without asking. Told her to leave and give me the keys. I changed the locks today. Paula's been in tears. Now the rest of the family are calling me an abusive guy and controlling for isolating Paula from her mother Hakiko over some old piece of junky wood. They say Hakiko's heart was in the right place, and I'm being a jerk for banning a grandmother from seeing her grandkid over furniture. My wife is on my side. She agrees with the ban, but the constant guilt from her family is making me feel like a monster. Am I the jerk? Personally, I myself say block every pressuring member of that family, go meet some friends, make your own new family, leave those awful, inconsiderate people to congregate amongst themselves and leave you alone. Lighthouse on Mars commented, you call the police and report the theft. You'll be able to get the furniture back that way. She will have to admit to the police who she donated or sold the furniture to, and your furniture will be recovered as stolen property. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to drive my husband home from his colonoscopy? I need some outside perspective. Am I the jerk? My husband went to the doctor back in September. He needs a colonoscopy. I reminded him in October. In November, he had yet to schedule. I reminded him again and told him try to schedule it before the end of the year because we hit all insurance and basically free. He told me yesterday that he's scheduled for the 19th. We are supposed to be in Nebraska for the holidays. He then said that we needed to wait, and then after his colonoscopy, we would drive there, which means I would be driving 7+ hours by myself in the late afternoon and evening. I don't do well at night. I could do if it was in the morning. I told him to reschedule to after the first of the year. He said no to help save money. So he then rescheduled to next Wednesday the 17th and said he needed me to pick him up at 12:30. I told him I can't do that because of my job. I'm a teacher, and it's one of my busiest times of year. He says I'm being rigid, not flexible, and selfish. Also, that I don't care about him. I explained that I can't just leave my class for 30 minutes, especially at the lunch hour. Plus, he's going to be under general anesthesia. He needs someone to be with him. Also, what if it takes longer than 30 minutes? He said, you would figure it out if it was an emergency. This is not an emergency. I also told him that I can't leave that day because I have parents coming in to help with a big project, a party I am leading, and a parent conference after school. All of this was scheduled before his colonoscopy, which he didn't check with my schedule. He says it's because I can't talk on the phone. I mentioned that he could do it when I get home. He says they're closed. I get home most days at 3:30. He told me to figure it out because he would do it for me. I told him I wouldn't have given him a week's notice to figure it out for something that's going to require me to take a day off of work. And it's not on me if he waited until the last minute to get it scheduled. I told him to reschedule for the first of the year, and I didn't care if we would have to pay more because at this point in time, there's not a lot of options with the holidays. He said no and figure it out. I said no. He says I'm a crap because family first and now isn't talking to me. Just like anything else in marriage, it's a two-way street. Where's the communication? I just kind of feel really bad for OP because when you see a relationship like that where OP's clearly putting in way more work and way more consideration for the other party, it just zaps everything out of me secondhand because it feels like one of those things where it's likely that it's not ever going to be properly addressed by that person who's not putting in the effort. And when I see a situation like that, it just feels like doom. Ditto Head Forever commented, "You're not the jerk. He's the one who couldn't get his crap together and schedule it for a time that wasn't totally inconvenient." Juan in a Tau replied, He won't have his crap together when he starts taking the colonoscopy prep, but that's a little bit different. Our next story is, am I the jerk for my USB killer frying my friend's PC after she snooped in my bag? 20-year-old female. My friend is 21-year-old female. I always carry a USB killer in my backpack. It looks like any other thumb drive, except I stuck a tiny devil face sticker on it so I know it's the dangerous one. I keep it on me because I still live at home and my parents are super nosy. If I ever left it on my desk, they would definitely pick it up and plug it into their laptop to see what it is. Yesterday, I had to leave campus in a rush and asked my friend to watch my bag for a bit. I ended up not having time to come back, so I just texted her to take it home and I would grab it today. She said, cool. She gets home, admits she got curious and started looking through my stuff, finds the devil sticker USB, thinks it's my normal drive, plugs it into her gaming PC to see what files I have, computer instantly dies. Motherboard and power supply completely gone. Now she's mad at me, saying I'm reckless for carrying something like that and I need to buy her a whole new setup, even though she knows she shouldn't have been digging around in my bag in the first place. I feel bad her PC is dead, but come on, don't snoop and don't plug random drives into your computer. Am I the jerk? OP's not the jerk. Rule 1 with USBs is you do not plug a USB you don't know into your computer. Unless that thing is factory new out of the packaging or you trust whoever is giving you that USB, you don't want to plug something into your computer that apparently can either fry it or immediately start scraping all of your information or creating any kind of hijack virus type thing. There's a reason IT makes very sure there is a no USB policy in a lot of places. Mr. Silk commented, who in their right mind sticks an unknown USB into their PC? Do people really do this? Not the jerk. Our next story is, am I the jerk? My boyfriend kicked me out of the shower to poop. Got home from work today and told my boyfriend I was going to take a quick shower. As soon as I put shampoo in my hair, he comes in and is like, I'm so sorry, but you have to leave right now. I gotta go. I respond, dude, no, I'll just close the shower curtain and you can go. To which he responds, are you serious? You gotta get out. To which I'm like, dude, are you seriously asking me to get out of the shower right now? Background, we lived together for 2+ years, are pretty comfy with each other, but definitely not to the point of pooping in front of each other. He has IBS, so when he's gotta go, he's gotta go. We also live in a very cold place that's heated with a wood stove, and I hadn't gotten the fire going yet, so I was just standing there freezing and dripping and shampoo-haired outside the bathroom, waiting for him to crap. This is obviously not that big of a deal, but like, am I crazy thinking that it's a wild ask to make your partner leave mid-shower so you can take a dump? I don't know if I'm the weird one, but I'll be honest, I probably would wish that my partner was not in the shower when I was going number 2 also. IBS be darned. And if anything, I don't know how many people are distinctly aware, but there's something about that running shower and the humidity and the moisture in the air. If you're going number 2 in that environment, it is a very heightened smell too, so I really don't blame that guy for wanting privacy in that moment. Consistent Star 5745 commented, not gonna lie, I wouldn't want to be in the shower while someone was actively crapping in the same room, but maybe that's me. Dusty Old McCormick replied, right? If my husband barged into the bathroom and said, sorry, you need to leave right now, I would leave immediately, no questions asked. I don't want to be a party to whatever is that urgent. Blue Goon replied, this, OP even said he has IBS, bro is fighting demons in there. Our next story is, am I the jerk? Mom mad because I don't want to clean her dirty hookup sheets. My mom travels for work and is often away for months at a time. When she does come home, she usually flies in late, so she likes her room to be clean and her bed freshly washed and made. I'm happy to oblige because she's letting me live at home for free while I save up for my own place, and it's a simple request to just want the house clean. Plus, she's my mom. She's been dating this guy and has him over sometimes when she's in town. The last time she was here was Thanksgiving, and this guy spent the night at our place. I know that him and my mom have had intimate relations because I could hear it from my room. Yes, gross, but she's an adult and I'm living at her house, so it is what it is. Anyways, she leaves to go back to work the next day without cleaning her room or sheets. And now she'll be coming home next week for the holidays. I told her that I didn't feel comfortable cleaning her dirty sheets because I don't want to touch the dirty sheets that have those bodily fluids on them. She got ticked off and was saying that it's not a big deal as housekeepers and hotels clean dirty sheets all the time. But I stood 10 toes down that I'm not touching those sheets even with gloves. She's still ticked, but said that she'll do it herself, but I don't understand how she doesn't understand that I actually feel offended that she would expect me to handle those sheets in the first place. Am I the jerk? I think this might be a slightly polarizing one, just because I feel like for a lot of people, they'll probably say, grab the corners or, whatever spot is clearly going to be probably not touched, wear some disposable gloves if you've got to. And then there's going to be the other side, and where I kind of come in where I just am kind of a germaphobe about some things. I wouldn't want to touch those sheets either. I probably still would. I probably would throw on some disposable gloves and just deal with it, holding that balled up at arm's length out away from me. But I don't think OP's the jerk for having that boundary. Physical Dance 9606 commented, not the jerk. She could have stripped the bed and put them in the washer before she left. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not being excited for my sister-in-law's pregnancy announcement? Last week, my family had a joint birthday celebration for me, 33-year-old female, and my brother-in-law, 25-year-old male. This is typical for all family birthdays. It was hosted at my house, where my in-laws have been living with my husband and me for the past 2.5 years while they look for a home. 5 minutes after everyone arrived, my mother-in-law said, "Okay, let's eat." So I went into the kitchen to make my plate. At the same time, my sister stepped into the laundry room to sign a birthday card. While I was still in the kitchen, I heard my sister-in-law say, "Mom and Dad need to open this together." I didn't know what she was referring to, so I stayed in the kitchen. Then I heard my mother-in-law say, "Oh my God, is this for real?" My sister came back and asked what was going on, and I said I thought my sister-in-law had just announced she's pregnant. Because we weren't in the room when it happened, my sister and I stayed in the kitchen for a moment. My mother-in-law then came into the kitchen and showed me the box. I said something along the lines of, "Yeah, I heard." I then went into the living room and asked my brother-in-law a few polite questions about their plans. Sister-in-law was in the kitchen getting lunch, and the celebration continued. About an hour and a half later, my sister-in-law suddenly started crying and said she wanted to leave. I overheard my mother-in-law say, "That's just how some people are." After they left, my mother-in-law came back in and I asked what had happened. She told me my sister-in-law was upset because she felt no one seemed excited about the pregnancy. I explained that I wasn't in the room when it was announced, that the announcement was framed as a gift for my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and that this was supposed to be a birthday celebration. I mentioned that announcing a pregnancy at someone else's birthday was common etiquette to not do. Mother-in-law said it was also brother-in-law's birthday celebration, so it was fine. Mother-in-law said that there wasn't anything selfish about it, and I should have been more excited. Brother-in-law, 21-year-old male, agreed with her and asked what else they were supposed to do. I said they could have chosen any other day to announce. Christmas Eve was 3 days away. My mother-in-law responded that my sister-in-law couldn't wait because there was deli meat being served at the party. Sister-in-law ended up eating some anyway after heating it up. Since then, we haven't spoken, and my in-laws decided to spend Christmas at my sister-in-law's house instead. Everyone I've told about the situation has agreed with me. However, I need some outside opinions due to these reactions from them. Am I the jerk? Edited to add, it's hardly about being overshadowed at a family birthday party, although that is a valid reason. The reaction came from sister-in-law making rude comments to mother-in-law saying, "You're unemployed, so you're going to do my nursery, right?" This is a typical comment from her. Other common comments are usually about mother-in-law's weight and appearance. Makes it hard to be happy for someone who consistently acts like this, and everyone condones this behavior and doesn't chastise her for it. Suspicious Cod 1090 commented, "Everybody sucks here." I heard is kind of a crappy response. Her getting upset because everyone didn't react how she wanted them to is childish. Your in-laws are in your house for 2.5 years and your husband not telling them enough is enough? Yeah, everyone sucks here. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not wearing pants to a party? I, 21-year-old male, am a college student. I'm in a frat and I'm gay. It's not a conservative group. No one's ever given me crap for it, but I'm the only one. Every year, my college has a date party to celebrate the end of finals. I didn't pick the theme, it's split a suit. Basically, take the components of a suit and you have to divide that amongst you and your date. I saw the writing on the wall, a lot of guys being shirtless with blazers and suit pants, and a lot of girls in oversized dress shirts and ties with no pants. The issue was, that didn't apply to me. I ended up asking a guy from my class I've been casually talking to as a first-time hanging out situation. Don't worry, he's gay too, I'm not delusional. I asked him what he felt comfortable wearing, and he said he prefers to be dressed. So I told him he could do the dress shirt and pants, and I would be fine with the remainder. So basically, I wore a blazer, was shirtless with a tie, and had on boxer briefs, which to me is on theme. None of the guys had an issue, but a friend's girlfriend came up to me and said that it was inappropriate and I was making the girls uncomfortable. I felt embarrassed, so my date and I left. My date said that I'd misled him on what the party would be like and I was the jerk for not dressing appropriately. Now I feel like a jerk. Am I the jerk? Now, I don't know if OP left out any details about how most people were dressed, because I do find it kind of odd that OP says, oh, you were misleading them on what the party would be like and not dressing appropriately. That kind of makes me feel like they showed up and everybody was just dressed normally or casually or whatever, not like strictly to theme. That said, OP did fit the theme. If they didn't want a situation like that to be at all possible, maybe should have clarified it a little bit more. Le Petit Neep commented, not the jerk. The party theme was deliberately provocative, and everyone was okay with that when they thought it meant women showing off their legs wearing shirts as mini dresses. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.